and welcome back to another episode of the 1 Point Safety Show with myself, Scott Hartley, and my glorious co-host, Scouse Andy. How are you, mate? You all right, bud?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. Obviously, you can't speak your own name
I can't
nowadays.
even speak already, mate. I'm tongue-tied already. Shocking. It's been a busy week, mate. It's been a busy week for both of us by the looks of it. But, crazy week. But, 2 weeks today, mate, and we'll be on a plane together. I cannot wait, to be honest. It's going to be one of them where we're going to have so much fun just to take your mind off it and think about football full time. And speaking of football, when I mean football, we mean our soccer. We are sponsors of Dunstable Town FC Talk of the Town podcast for this season. Not had the best of starts to the season. Go ahead, have a look at their podcast. It's in the links in our description to this show. So by all means, go and give them a watch if you're into non-league football. They talk about all soccer as well. So from Premier League all the way down to the non-league, go and give them a listen and a watch. We're also graciously sponsored by Oddballs. You can go across to myoddballs.com. Go and buy yourself a pair of 1 Point Safety Show pants or a hat, or also go and have a look and check out what they've got on there. All sorts of pants and hats and various other bits and bobs that they've got across on there. All proceeds go to men's cancer charities, especially testicular cancer, so give them a look. I also have a shout out, Scouse. It's for the Lanarkshire Red Zone group on Facebook. They have a Facebook group, and the last Sunday of every month they host an event at Uddington Sports Centre between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. All the family are welcome, and if you're interested, go and have a look on their Facebook group for further details. They're trying to set up a space where people can go in Scotland and watch NFL games in the sports club, and that is being hosted, I believe, by Rod Morrison, who is a big contributor to this pod. Shout out to Rod, and best of luck. We wish you well for the Uddington Sports Club. So good luck to them guys over there. Sweet. So yeah, that'll be quite good. Shout out to Brian, shout out to Mike, Darren Hafferley, who's in, and Jesse, who's in the chat. We appreciate you all being here. All good. On to the news then, mate, really. Not been a lot of news this week.
No, of course not.
No. There's been tons of news. But what I'm really excited about, mate, is this is it now. This is it. This is the roster for now. This is where we are. This is the end of the pre-season cycle, and now we can get into talk solely about how people are going to perform on the fields. But first off, the naming rights of the stadium were sold to Northwest Federal Credit Union, and the stadium is going to be known as Northwest Stadium. They have a lease and a deal with us till 2030, but this doesn't preclude any move that may come sooner to a new stadium somewhere else. What are your thoughts on the Northwest Stadium, Scouse?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's goodbye to FedEx 100%, you know. I mean, I don't know much about Northwest Credit Union, not going to lie. Does anybody know how much the actual deal's worth per year?
No idea.
No, because I've not seen no numbers.
It hasn't come out numbers or anything like that. So, and I'm not sure if that's something that they would let you know. Like, you don't know how much Standard Charter pays, you know, Liverpool or...
Oh, we do.
Do you really? Okay.
Yeah. 80 mil a year we get, Liverpool. Standard Chartered, main sponsor, the ship. But yeah, there's different sponsors as well. So it's you know, stadium rights tends to be one. You know, there tends to be numbers that do get put out there. But I know I've not seen anything from the Northwest.
No, I haven't seen anything either.
So I've not seen. Yeah, Mike says rip off. Yeah, you're not wrong, man. You're not wrong.
We're Carlisle are sponsored by Aquapure. So 9 mil. Jesse says 9 mil. So
okay,
9 mil a year. That's.
I think Jesse makes stuff up. But yeah, that's fine. I'll take it. I'll take it. 9 mil. I mean, 9 mil. To be fair, I think that's a little bit low, really. But I understand that we're not a big superstar team at the moment, so no, it's probably fine.
You know? Yeah, and Deluxe has said here, it says it's more than the previous deal, but I haven't seen the numbers. Well, that's whatever way. It's a local business and a local firm that have got a name on the stadium.
Are the actual local?
I think the Northwest Federal Credit Union are. I think they are. Yeah,
you said federal. You just said federal. I mean, surely that's like there's a lot of federal land around. You know, might be across the whole UK, the whole USA, maybe. But
it could be. I'm not too sure. But no, either way, it's good. I think when we get a new stadium,
in with the new,
exactly. When we get a new stadium, mate, it'll be a major sponsor of some description. I'm pretty certain it'll be something like.
Well, I think they'll have first dibs, won't they? If you think about it that way, you know, for the new stadium, they should be able to have first offer. Or first option, should I say. It might be obviously at a higher rate than 9 mil, but it depends if they want to be involved in the new one,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll get on to it then. The next bit, which we haven't talked about yet, it's the 53-man roster and the practice squad. So what do you want to do first? Should we go through who got cut, or should we just go through section by section who's on the roster? What do you want to do?
Let's go by section, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, no problem. We'll go by section by section. So looking at it here, we're looking at the roster here. We kept 3 quarterbacks, which is a little bit of a one of them things where you go, oh, why have we kept 3? But precluding the cut down day, I think it was the day before, I think it was the Monday, the NFL came out and said, unfortunately, they were reverting away from the calling a practice squad quarterback up to the active roster. So we've got 3 quarterbacks in Jaden Daniels, Marcus Mariota, and Jeff Driscoll. What are your thoughts on keeping Driscoll? Are you happy with that, or do you think he proved himself?
I think he's played well. I think he's played well in the preseason, and you can tell that he can actually run the offense of what Cliff wants to do. So why not have him there? I mean, I think he's really pushing for QB2. We haven't seen anything from Mariota. There's one bad series that obviously, that's just, not enough reps, you know what I mean? Those type things, and poor offensive line play with it. The second play of that game, there's a blown up read option, I think it was. He got blown up straight away. And then he got hurt after that. You haven't seen him since because he's had a groin problem. So, I don't know how bad his injury is. He's also given up number 0, which we probably will talk about anyway, but he's given 0 up to Sanistril, which is great. For me, because I think Sanistril should feel comfortable in the number that he should be at. And that's if he wants 0, he should have 0. But yeah, I mean, I think Driscoll, I wouldn't be upset if Mariota was still injured for the next few weeks, even though he might not be on IR, I should say. But and Driscoll would be QB2 for a couple of weeks. I've got no issues with that. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. It depends on what's going to happen with, obviously, Mariota's groin and where we are with that. I mean, overall, looking at this roster, is 26 on the offense and 24 on the defense is what we went with. We'll go into running back next. So running backs that were kept on the roster, Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler. No surprises there. Jeremy McNichols made the roster as well over Michael Wiley. So
and C-Rod.
Yeah. And C-Rod. C-Rod was.
I told you C-Rod was on the bubble, man. I told you.
You did. You absolutely did. And fair play. Yeah, you were absolutely.
And he didn't do much. There. Didn't do much in any of the games, so it cost him. I know he's back on the practice squad, isn't he? But there's Wiley as well. Did they both get in the practice squad?
Yeah, I'll have a look at that and come to the practice squad in a second. Tight ends wise, we've got Zach Ertz, John Bates, Ben Sinner, and Colson Yankoff made the roster, which is. I'm quite pleased that Yankoff made the roster there. I mean, Cole Turner didn't do himself any favours, did he, in that last preseason?
I mean, this is the problem with Turner. It's like he's had a couple of years now. Now, yes, I know it's a new team and a new head coach, all the rest of it. But the thing is, though, he's not produced anything. And the thing is that you can't have 2-3 seasons / chances in that respect, and expect to, if you haven't really, really improved your game. You know, he gets selected for the 53. So, and that's what happened to him.
Looking at your receivers then, we've got ex-receiver, we've got Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown. More on him in a second. Z receiver, you've got De'Ami Brown and Byron Pringle. And then also in the slot receiver, you've got Zacchaeus, Luke McCaffrey, and Jamison Crowder as well. And then moving over onto the offensive line, left tackles, we kept 2, Brandon Coleman and Cornelius Lucas, who's obviously a swing tackle as well. Right tackle, we've got Andrew Wiley and Trent Scott. Right guard,
that is horrible. That is horrible.
Right guard, Sam Cosme. Center, kept 2, Tyler Biadish and Michael Dieter. And then left guard, we've got Nick Algretti and Chris Paul. Now, the offensive line, Scouse, worries me massively still. What are your thoughts on...
Yeah, I agree. The right side of that offensive line is poor, man. That is poor. I know people are going to try and stick up for...
No backup for Cosme either is
worrying. Yeah, exactly. There's no... who's actually meant to be
There isn't a backup. There isn't a backup. It's Chris Paul is down as left guard. I mean,
but you're probably filling at right guard if needed. Do you think?
Yeah, Michael Dieter at a push can go to right guard, and there's a couple on the practice squad that we'll talk about. But
yeah, man. I mean, it's weak, man. It really is. I mean, if Cosme goes down, we're screwed at right tackle. Now you might go, oh well, we'll put Wiley in at guard, and then we'll have a Trent Scott or whoever on the right and the right tackle situation. But the thing is, these guys, mate, they're not scaring anyone. Those starters, Nick Allegretti, you got to understand this guy was most of his whole career has been a backup player. Now we expect him to be the starter and be ultra consistent. And what I've seen in preseason, I know it's only preseason, what I've seen from him so far is poor play. Really, being honest, I think PFF had him in the 40s. You know what I mean? Like it's not good. So yes, O-line for me is the big one, man. I mean Coleman. He's got loads of skills. He's got loads of skills. Everyone says he's been managing well against our own players. But don't forget, though, there's two things going on here. One, he got injured, so we don't know how well he is against other teams because he didn't play any of the preseason. And two, he's taken on against average rushers because our edge rushers are average. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not elite guys that he's taken on, and he's just showing out against them, and you're thinking, "But the other guy's the real deal."
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You don't know what you've got on him now. Obviously, I'm fingers crossed. I hope to God that he's the real deal and he's top draw. We don't need to worry about left tackle for the next 10 years. But the thing is, at the moment, you don't know what the hell he is. That's worrying. That's worrying. Now, Allegretti, as I say, left side of the guard situation, not good at the moment. He's got to step up, man, because he's been poor. Biadish has been okay. Dieter's been okay when he played, but again, no great shakes. Cosme's our main guy. If he goes down, we're screwed. And the right tackle is just crap. It really is, man. I mean, if you say, there probably is that the Wiley will switch to guard and somebody else will play tackle. Maybe a Lucas might go over to swing at right tackle if Cosme went down or something like that. But that's still not very good. That's not a good O-line at all, especially for a rookie quarterback as well.
It's tough, man. That is tough, but we'll come on to that a little bit later. Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, then. So we'll start with DT. We've got Jason Newton, Johnny Allen, Fedarian Mathis, and Daron Payne are our four that were kept on the roster. Initially, it was five with John Ridgway, but we'll get back to that one in a second. Defensive end, we've got Javonte Jean-Baptiste and Cleveland Farrell. On the right side, and then on the left defensive end, we've got Jamin Davis, Dante Fowler, and Dorrance Armstrong. I mean, Davis being marked as a defensive end is interesting. I mean, yeah, he's got the athleticism, but that's why he's made this roster. Interesting, again, as you said, not too big on defensive ends, but yeah, it is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no real elite pass rusher in this team. I mean,
Armstrong could be, but it's
Armstrong's our best guy,
isn't it?
Armstrong's our best guy, but he was only slightly above average, really, at Dallas. You got to think about it. I think he was like, what did he get, like 8 sacks last year?
Eight and a half last year, yeah.
So he's not like a wow factor. I mean, that's the kind of numbers that Tez was getting. Now, obviously, Tez in a different scheme looks absolutely different animal. I'm hoping Armstrong's the same, but we haven't seen that yet in any of the preseason. But again, he hasn't played that much, so I'm just hoping that when week one hits, this guy is like a raging bull. That's all I want to see. But obviously, we'll have to see how he goes. But again, it's all these things of these ifs, isn't it? It's an if. This guy could be good. He might be okay. He might be bad. And that's the problem with it. But I'll trust
difficult though. It's difficult though, Scouse, because you can't fix everything. And I look at this roster and think.
But has he fixed anything? That's the thing you've got to think about. Has he fixed anything? I say the linebacker Corey has. I say he's fixed that.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we'll get on to now.
Yeah, okay. But that's probably it.
Mike linebacker, you've got Bobby Wagner, and his backup will be Michael Walker. Then on Will linebacker, you've got Frankie Louvu, and Dominic Hampton at the moment is his backup. And then safeties, we've got free safety, we've got Quan Martin as your starter, Jeremy Reeves, Tyler Owens, and Derek Forrest. And then strong safety, you've got Jeremy Chin and Percy Butler. I think safety is Yeah, Butler's listed as a strong safety. Yeah.
I'd say he's more free because he's much more athletic than others, but that's not great, you know.
And then we get on to corners. So on the right side corner, we have Emmanuel Forbes. And then listed as a left side corner, we have Benjamin St. Juste and Michael Davis. And then the nickel corner is Samra Still and Noah Igbenogany is the last remaining person on the 53. Yeah, tough 53.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it's a hell of a lot different than what it was last season. So I know that it's not through a lack of trying from the ownership,
absolutely,
from the DQ and Peters. I mean, you can tell they've not been working their arse off to try and get this squad, reasonably competitive. So I've got high hopes. But there is still some major holes. And you mentioned before, you can't always fix it all in one season, one off season, and it will take 2 or 3 seasons probably to get to where they really want to be. But yeah, man, I think there's just certain points where you're thinking, this is weak. Like this is like the equivalent of the Carolina Panthers week. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I worry. It does worry me. It does concern me. Some of the positions.
It concerns me too. I understand exactly where you're coming from, but I'm looking at this in the round and saying, well, I got to be kind of positive because we haven't seen these guys play in an actual match yet properly. And then we have to say to ourselves, well, you can't fix everything as we've talked about. We've fixed the O-line, we've fixed QB potentially, we've fixed safeties, which is a bonus.
Have we fixed O-line or have we really fixed it?
No, not O-line. Not O-line. I'd say, sorry, linebackers, quarterback, and safety is what I meant.
Yeah, I think that's pretty solid.
If I said O-line, I apologize.
Pretty solid. That's a pretty solid kind of position group that I think they have fixed.
Yeah.
But again,
it's when you're looking at it in the round, you got to say to yourself, got 29 million still in cap space out there waiting to be spent. Maybe that's an extension for Cosme. Maybe that's Terry gets more money. Maybe it's John Allen gets more money. Whatever we do with it, but realistically, you're probably looking to roll over at least 15 million of that. You move into next season with the higher cap space yet again, you're probably looking at around about 105 million in cap space.
But again, you're going to lose like half your squad again because of loads of 1-year deals.
1-year deals, yeah. And you can't pay everyone. I get that, but you've got 105 there. You might have maybe this team wins 7, maybe this team wins 9, maybe it wins 8, maybe it wins. We don't know, but it's a progressive team, and as long as we've got Jaden Daniels and he is the answer, and we know that. The running backs are good. Jaden's worked. We can be okay with what we've got, and we know that in the off season this will be a better destination for people to go because the old stink of the old regime is gone, and people will want to play for Dan Quinn. I truly believe that. And then I think to yourself, then that's your window to say, right, we've got to kick on now. Now we want to be winning 10 plus games. Now we want to be in the playoffs completely and all the time winning divisions. That's where you take it to the next level for me. And I hate the word patience, but that's what we've got to do. We've got to be patient, unfortunately. And it does suck. It's one of them where you think to yourself, oh, shit, well, I've got to wait another year of potentially being a top 5 pick in the draft again. But that's kind of where we are. I mean, 2 things we've got to bring up from the cuts and the roster projection is trading away of John Ridgeway. Obviously, he did make the initial 53. He was traded to New Orleans for we gave a 7th and John Ridgeway, and we gained a 6th round pick in return, which is pretty much a pick swap, isn't it? I know they were trying to shop both him, Cole Turner, and center Ricky Stromberg. They're trying to pick all them and say we'll trade these on the day, but obviously nothing came on the day, and thereafter obviously John Ridgeway's gone off to the Saints. Wish him well. He was pretty good. I didn't think there was that much wrong with him. He was good as a rotational piece, and I hope he gets more time over there.
I like him. I like Ridgeway.
Off our cuts, the only 2 cuts I think that got teams or were claimed off waivers were KJ Henry went to Cincinnati. And Tariq Castro Fields went to the Lions, I think he went to.
Unsure about Castro Fields.
He went somewhere on their 53. So, they were the only 2.
But he's been burnt toast more than St. Ghost has. Let's face it. So, for me, I'm not missing those guys at all. I mean, would I have kept KJ? Yes.
Panthers was Castro Fields. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it.
Panthers. There was a guy that I wanted off waivers. At corner from Tampa. Keenan Isaac, I think his name was.
Yeah, good player. Yeah,
good player. Looked like he was on the way up.
Where did he go to in the end?
Carolina stole like 3 corners. Yeah, and that's the annoying thing because I thought he would have been decent for us. So he's only a second-year player now, I think, and he's looking good in pre-season as well. Just Tampa's back end is really good, solid. So. Yeah, mate.
Yesterday we signed Noah Brown from the Houston Texans. He was because John Ridgeway left. There was a space on the 53, and obviously we got him across as the wide receiver. Good production. He's got really good production in the last couple of years, with Dallas and with Houston last year. I mean, looking at his figures here, I did write them down. And I can't find them. I think it's 555 yards with Dallas in 2022 and 2 touchdowns. And then last year in what was a crowded wide receiver room over in Houston, he got 562 yards and 3 touchdowns last year. And I mean, you think about it there, you're going with Nico Collins, you've got Tank Dell who came out of nowhere, and then you've got...
he was one of my favorites
as well. And then you've got... Yeah, I know he was. And then you've got Schultz as well to go to... And then they've just signed Diggs, so there's no room for him in that room over there. But for a wide receiver 4 or even a wide receiver 3, pushing for a 2, that is a good pickup for me. I mean, 10 and as well, he didn't play that many games. He played 13 games last year for Houston, all told. And,
I mean, he had 2 big games as well. That's the only
2
thing.
Really big games.
Out of those 13 games, he played 2 big monster games, and that was it. So basically, the whole season for him was pretty poor. Was a nothing show besides 2 games. So that's the other thing you've got to worry about when you're thinking about if he's going to be a wide receiver 2/3. It's
Does he give you more contribution though than Jahan Dotson? That's the question. I think he does give you more.
I don't know.
Not in his rookie season. Jahan was on fire in his rookie season, but
don't get me wrong. Jahan was poor last year. Yeah, we get it. You know what I mean? But it's kind of. I understand why. As soon as you get rid of somebody like Jahan, that you have to get a receiver in. But again, you're changing C+ player for a C+ player. You're not improving. You're not moving the needle with this guy. You know what I mean? Like he's not going to go out there and give me 1,000-yard season or 5 TDs. He ain't going to do that. Do you know what I mean? So this is the problem. Just like again, Noah Brown is one of those guys that's about the same level as the other dudes that we've got besides Terry.
I don't think Jahan would have given you a 1,000-yard season. I really don't. I mean, we were sat here thinking he's 1B, Terry's 1A, and that's how it's going to work, and they're going to be in tandem.
You think that because of the first-round draft pick that he was, you know what I mean? So you expect that. You expect him to be a 1B to somebody, or at least a wide receiver 2, a solid 2. And he wasn't. Let's face it, he wasn't. But I was hoping that you'd give him this year with the new scheme, with an actual real quarterback as well, to see how he'd really produce. And if he didn't produce after this season, yeah, sure, trade him away or cut him, whatever the hell you want to do. But I think it was a little early on Jahan being pulled, like to put the trigger being pulled on him, to be fair. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Mike said Reece Stammett is signed for the practice squad for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mike.
Oh, has he?
So yeah, he's gone over to Jacksonville to sit on their practice squad as the IPP player.
So Deluxe mentions here his biggest problem has been health.
Bunch of injuries. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So again, another guy who's not normally fit. I mean, yes, Dan Quinn knows him from Dallas, but don't forget, he wasn't nothing to do with the offense. You know what I mean?
It's true.
So it's kind of like, you know what you can do. You know what you can do, kind of route running and the rest of it when you see him in training. But what's that really kind of do? Do you know what I mean? Like it's obviously a Dan Quinn pick. This one's obviously a Dan Quinn pick in my book. So I'm just hoping he's better than what we've got.
Brian's got a point here. He says after Terry, it'll probably be wide receiver by committee. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it
I mean, to be fair, our tight ends are probably going to be more prominent than actually the wide receivers will be, being honest. So, it's I'll say that to see how it goes. I'm hoping I'm hoping that they'll step up and produce. But again, I'm saying we've got a quarterback, but we don't really have any real people actually protecting him. I know Jesse mentioned earlier there's 3 new guys on the as in starters, but again, deep down, there's only one real starter there like that was worth money from free agency, and that was the center. So I think Allegretti, I think the jury's out on him. I don't know how good he's going to be. I'm hoping he's better than what he was in preseason. And I say Coleman, we just don't know what we've got with him yet. So again, it's too many. There's loads and loads of question marks, man, about this whole line. 100%.
Very true. We'll get into the practice squad then. So practice squad has got 16 players on it at the moment, 1 space remaining on the practice squad. Quarterback Sam Hartman is back on the practice squad. Michael Wiley, running back, is back on the practice squad. Chris Rodriguez, back on the practice squad. Kazmir Allen on the practice squad. Mitchell Tinsley, practice squad. Bryson Tremaine, practice squad. Cole Turner, the same. Julian Good-Jones, who was a guard, played a bit in the preseason as well. He's back on the practice squad. Max Sharping, which we'll talk about him in a minute. He's a new one who's not played for us before. He's offensive lineman. Andre Jones Jr., back on the practice squad. Carlos Watkins, defensive end. He's new, not played for us. Hagi Nabusi is our international player, defensive tackle. He's back on the practice squad. Sheldon Day, defensive tackle. He's new. We'll talk about him as well. Jalen Graham, linebacker. He's new. We'll talk about him as well. Chiggy Newsome is back on the practice squad. He's been with us through training camp. And Bobby Price is also new as a cornerback. And we'll talk about him as well. So there's 1 space remaining on the practice squad. So Max Sharping is probably...
Who's on IR? Isn't Stromberg on IR?
Put him on IR. No, I think we had an injury settlement with him. So on IR, it's Jordan McGee, Norrell Pollard, and Taylor Stallworth are the 3 who went to IR. And on the PUP list was our boy F.A. Abada. So there's 4.
So Stromberg's not on that list?
Stromberg is not on that list.
He's been cut.
Released.
Right.
Cut with an injury designation.
Yeah, so they get a settlement for him. Yeah, they pay him off.
Get a settlement. Yeah. So Max Sharping was a 2019 by the Houston Texans. He was a 2nd-round pick 55 overall. He has played for the Texans from 2019 to 2021, Bengals 22 to 23, and then he was on the Philadelphia Eagles practice squad last year, but he has started 26 games and he's played in 53. He's played at both left guard and right guard, mainly at right guard. And he looks quite solid, to be fair. He looks quite a solid pickup, especially for the practice squad.
So where's he come from again?
He came from Philadelphia
Texans.
Eagles, his practice
squad. Eagles.
But he was drafted by the Texans as a 2nd-round pick. So
he was a 2nd-round pick. He played for the Texans, then he got cut.
Got cut. Went to the Bengals. Played for the Bengals. 2 years at the Bengals, got cut. And then he was on the Phillies practice squad last year. Yeah.
So again, mate, a bit of a journeyman.
Bit of a journeyman,
but high hopes at the start, and obviously not turned up over his career.
It doesn't always work like that, does it? To be honest,
but he's had teams. It isn't like it's a scheme fit problem, or what I mean. He's had 3 teams. So again, does this guy move any needles? Does he move any needles inside the practice squad? No, he doesn't move anything.
No, probably not. But it's guard backup there. That's what we were talking about.
And that's the only thing you can think about. He's a good right. He might be a decent right guard for us if things go south. You know what I mean?
And I think the thing we're going to look at here with these players who we're going to talk about, they're all journeymen. They've all been around practice squads. They've all been around various teams, and that's kind of that's the theme that's going through here. Another one here is Carlos Watkins. He is a defensive end. He is 6'3", 305. He was a 2017 4th-round pick by the Texans again. Came out of Clemson.
Don't forget, Texans were shit around then as well, You know that.
So, yeah, they were terrible. They were a bad side. So he's gone from Texans from 2017 to 20. Then he went to the Cowboys, 21 to 22. He's with the Cardinals last year, and he was with Los Angeles Rams through training camp and didn't make it on their 53. So
he's a Dan Quinn guy again, isn't he? Been with Dallas.
Yeah, by the looks of it, yeah. So his total numbers, he's got 139 sacks, 139 tackles.
Yeah, I was going to say he's in Hall of Fame with that, bro.
Yeah, I was like, Jesus. six sacks, 1 forced fumble, 3 fumble recoveries, an interception, and a defensive touchdown. So he finished his college career with 30 starts, 191 tackles, and 14 sacks. So again, bounced around, not too sure.
I mean, you can't expect perfect. Obviously, he's a practice squad player for a reason, But
exactly that.
I just don't like seeing these guys that were like loads of promise and then just didn't do shit with it. Do you know what I mean? That kind of worries me about players. For example, you mentioned the other guy, the first guy, the new one, the second round pick. And then, okay, he's played games, but he's not really produced anything. He's not kept his job anywhere, and he's moved around teams, and he couldn't even get in the Eagles squad last year. He was in the practice squad, so it's kind of like, this is again Sheldon, just an average guy, just an average dude. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, average dude, yes. Sheldon Day's the next guy who we've signed to the practice squad, who is not with us before. He was a 4th-round pick by the Jacksonville Jaguars in the 2016 NFL Draft. He's also played for the 49ers, the Colts, the Browns, and the Vikings. He is 6'1", 285 as a defensive end. He's 30 years old as well. And he has 85 tackles, 7 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, and 7 pass deflections. But he has only played 26 games in his entire career.
So and he's 30.
That is that is.
Yeah. Again, there's a filly with loads of confidence.
It doesn't know.
If this guy came up with the squad, could he do a role? Could he really produce something for us out the blue? No.
Next one is a young guy who probably had a little bit of promise and they took a flyer on. This is a guy called Jalen Graham, who is a linebacker, played for Purdue. He was selected by the San Francisco 49ers in the 7th round of the 2023 draft. So this is an Adam Peters guy by the looks of it. 23 years old, 6'3", 220.
Okay, so he's a little bit more raw. Okay, maybe more upside. He's raw. A bit more upside.
He was basically... He spent the season with the 49ers last year. As a rookie, appeared only in 4 games. But he didn't make cuts this year.
It's hard to stay on the 49ers team, though, isn't it? I mean, that's the difference there. So but again, that might be something because
it might be. I mean, I'm looking at it here. He ran a 4.46 40-yard dash, broad jump 9.6, vertical jump 31.5, 18 reps on the bench press, and his 20-yard shuttle was 4.25. So he's got, he's decent length, decent height. Maybe it's one of them ones that Adam Peters was like, yeah, I'm going to draft you anyway because I know my scouting network, and he's took a flyer on him in the 49ers and then thought, do you know what, we'll try and get this guy across when he was released. And the last one is Bobby Price. Bobby Price has come to us. He is a cornerback, 26 years old. He was an undrafted free agent. He went to the Lions, stuck on the Lions for 2 years. Then he went to the Cardinals for last year. Didn't make cuts this year, and we've just obviously picked him up here. He's 6'3", 205. Looking at him, he's played week 13 and week 14 against the Bears and the Packers last year, and then reverted back to Arizona Cardinals practice squad. Not a bottom of the roster kind of guy again, and that's why he's been picked up as a practice squad player. But these guys haven't been with us. They were outside the building. You don't just sign players who onto your practice squad who've been with you for the entire pre-season. So interestingly, I just thought I'd let people know who they are.
There's the connections, isn't there? There's the connections of either DQ or Peters. All the guys we brought in that are new all got some sort of connection to him. So they obviously know more about the player than we obviously do. So I'm hoping that there might be that they can do a job if they ever get called up, But I say everything's all. I'm hoping I don't see those guys, but if they do show up, then there'll be a bonus line.
Yeah, I mean, what are you what was we'll get into it then. Biggest shock and surprise of the 53 then. I mean, there's a question here from Canada Mike Allen, who's in our chat with us. Thank you, Canada Mike. Appreciate you putting these in. I'm always going to call you Canada Mike. Don't know why, but he said, is letting KJ Henry go a surprise or a potential masterstroke?
Then who go? Sorry,
KJ Henry.
Well, I don't know if it's a masterstroke. We'll have to see. So
we'll
20,
wait and see on that one.
Hindsight's 2020, isn't it? You know what I mean? So
indeed.
So it's just that kind of thing, man. It's he was probably the biggest shock out of most. I didn't think Henry was up on the bubble. Being honest, I didn't think he was a guy that was going to get cut, but he obviously did, and he got picked up pretty quickly by a better team than what we are. So what's that tell you?
Scouser, you're getting dogs abuse in the chat here. I mean, Jesse's talking about Yankov and talking about beers and
I don't want to put all that on the screen. You know what I mean? It's this is a PG show. You know what I mean, boys?
PG show. Get it in there. But no, it's
did you see what Deluxe mentioned before about Stromberg?
Nice. It's Stromberg waived an injury
designation, but he's on IR this morning. Reverted there after not being claimed. Will stay there unless there is an injury, something like you mentioned.
I thought that he was waived with an injury settlement, not a designation. But you'd be probably right, Deluxe. I don't know what's happening with Stromberg. I mean, there is a place left on the practice squad, but who knows? There's a mighty wind around the DMV. All of the women breathed a sigh of relief when Sam was signed to the practice squad. Absolutely. He's cut his hair though, Brian. He's cut his hair. So
he doesn't look like Clark Kent anymore, no.
No, he does not, Scouts. He's cut his hair. So, but hey, at least it's someone for Jaden Daniels to. It's someone for Jaden Daniels to bounce a basketball with. You know what I mean? I'm not sure on Sam Hartman.
He plays against Bobby all the time.
He does. I'm not sure what's going on with Sam Hartman, to be honest. But I'm glad he's back with us, and hope he does a good job. Look, practice squad quarterback is an awesome job. That's a gig you want. Let's be honest. That is a gig that you want. Third quarterback Driscoll's probably been doing scout team. What are you doing as the practice squad QB? I mean,
you're not even throwing the ball. I mean,
right. What I want you to do, Sam, today is pretend to be Kyler Murray. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What a great job. Yeah. You're not even holding the clipboard. You're holding the clipboard to the clipboard. It's like being the assistant to the assistant regional manager. You know what I mean? It's just
exactly, man. It's probably the best job in the world, that one, to be fair. I mean, you're never going to play, so you're not going to get hurt. You know, besides unless you hurt your own shoulder by throwing the ball or something.
Yeah,
besides that, you're never going to get hurt. So
what was your biggest? What was your biggest shock then of it? Was there any shocks? Because I think it's probably KJ Henry.
I think that's the biggest one. I mean, obviously Scott G mentions as well. 16 teams passed on Henry, so it wasn't like he was a star. Yeah, but the thing is, though, mate, is that you wouldn't be seeing Micah Parsons being cut ever anyway. So, you actually comparing him to like one of the best in the game. So it's not the same. As I say, Henry had talent, but he wasn't. Yeah, I don't think he should have been cut personally. And Ridgeway's the same for me. I think them two guys should have been in the squad still. I still think there was spaces for those. I think the other guys could have went instead. But obviously DQ and these guys don't have any loyalty to Ron's previous players. So, we just going to hope that they make the right decision. Hope that what this decision
is a big indictment. That's probably something we have to bring up here. Is that only 2 of the 7 picks from last year are on our roster, and that's Quan Martin and who's the other? Who's the other pick from last year that's on our roster?
Well, who was the first rounder last year?
Oh, Emmanuel Forbes. Of course, it's Emmanuel Forbes. Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think of that straight away? I thought about it because it was he just rolled off the tongue as the cornerback, didn't he? You know what I mean? Come on now. I mean, it's Forbes. Yeah. Cheers, Jesse. But just crazy. 2 out of 7 though. That is an
and that's the first rounder and the second rounder. That's it.
Exactly. Everybody else. And the funny thing is, none of the other picks, the 3rd or the 4th rounder, have actually caught on with another team. Even a practice squad. No one's been signed. So what is that?
Stromberg's injured, isn't he? So he might have been picked up if he wasn't hurt, maybe. But
possibly.
Yeah, but yeah.
It's
Braden Daniels.
It's not good though, is it? You know what I mean? It isn't.
I mean, it's been proven, hasn't it? Ron's drafting was horrible. It just genuinely was every year. It's wrong all the way through.
I don't want to pull the curtain back and go, look at what you could have had. Kyle Hamilton, everybody. Christian Gonzalez. Rashawn Slater. I mean, Justin Herbert. No, I mean, in all fairness, you can't claim that Justin
Jesse.
Herbert won.
Little stat there from Jesse. On average, only 3 players last per team per draft.
Maybe. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's something I'd have to look a little bit more further into.
The draft is a crapshoot for every team, every player. Really,
every single team's the same.
10 players.
Look what we just said there, Scouts. There's a former second-round pick sitting on our freaking practice squad. So that's someone's made a mistake there. Houston went, oh yeah, we'll draft you 55th overall. You're thinking, hey, this guy's gonna have a lot of promise, and he's bounced around lots of teams, and he's on our bloody practice squad.
And who's the guy we've got as well? Who's the guy we've got as well who did all that?
Noah Igbenogany's a former first rounder.
First rounder. He was
Cleveland Farrell's a former first rounder.
I was thinking of Cleveland Farrell. So, another one that was like I think he was picked 4th or 5th overall.
Yeah, he was 4th.
Craziness by
the Raiders. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was Mayock's first year, wasn't it, as head coach?
It was. As GM,
draft guy there, GM there. Yeah. So. Yeah, that was a nightmare. that was such a bad one. I mean, and Farrell was actually from. I'm sure he was
he's from Virginia, though, isn't he? He's from Virginia. Is he a local? He's a local guy. Yeah, he's a local guy. Well, we'll get into our fan questions then, mate. Tim Town has asked the first question that we got through. Tim put this out on yesterday, actually. He said, name the teams that will have picks 32 to 29 in the 2025 draft, and also 4 to 1 in the 2025 draft. And where will Washington fit into this? Where do you think we will fit? So he's going, who's going to have the best picks and who's going to have who's going to be the worst?
Yeah, so who's going to win the Super Bowl? Who's going to win the bowl?
Who's going to win who's going to win the bowl?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, for me, I think if you start off with that bit.
Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll go with the 4 then. So we'll go the 4 teams. Who are you going with?
As in, like the final, the 32 to 29.
So 32 to 29, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, Chiefs, Niners.
Yeah.
Maybe Detroit.
Yeah, that's where I've gone. Yeah.
Have you?
Detroit.
Really? You go for Detroit?
I've got all three of them so far. Really? Yeah. Who's your other AFC team then? Who's the other AFC team?
I mean, probably Baltimore.
So
be fair.
You're going Ravens here?
Yeah.
Okay. I would go... Tough, this one.
Brian went for exactly mine. Brian went here.
Yeah, Niners, Lions, Chiefs, Ravens. You're probably right, mate. That's probably a really good explanation of it, to be honest. I don't think I disagree with that. I really don't. Could Buffalo do something? I don't know.
Maybe,
I'm
but
not sure. Maybe
receiver. So
I'll take away your Bolt. I'll take away your Bolt. In fact, no, I won't take away Baltimore because Derrick Henry's there, isn't he, as well? So no, I'll go with that. And they've got an amazing.
They also improved the wide receivers a little bit because that's always been their weakness, been their wide receivers. And the guys who were good were always hurt. You know what I mean? So,
we're going to go bottom picks then, 1 to 4. Who are you picking 1 to 4?
Well, I think Carolina's still going to be number 1. I think that's...
I don't think they're going to be number 1, but there you go.
You don't think they're going to be number 1? They're god-awful, bro.
No, I don't.
They are god-awful. No. And then lost Louisville as well. Nah, mate. They're a joke, trust me. They'll be number 1.
I think they'll pick 2. I think they'll pick second.
Yeah. Who else? I think the Giants are going to be down there.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll be second, maybe 4th, but they'll be definitely in that bottom 4.
I've wrote 4 teams down here, so I've wrote. Okay, go on, you go. Pats, Jesse, you've beaten. Yeah, so I went New England number 1 overall. I went Carolina. I went Denver Broncos, and I think New York Giants are 4th. I think Denver are going to really struggle, even though they've got Bo Nix and everyone's going, oh, yeah, Bo Nix is amazing. Titans may struggle. That's a good shout. Titans may struggle. Steelers?
Titans are never going to be that bad, mate. They never are. They're never that bad.
Steelers?
No.
They haven't got a clue what's going on. They haven't got a clue what's going on.
No, Steelers, man, are just too...
Vegas, that's a good shout,
They don't get... With Tomlin there, they've never had a losing season, so...
Yeah, I know they haven't. Vegas, that's a good shout. Raiders, that's a great shout as well.
Raiders, yeah, but again, really, should they be bad? I mean, I know they haven't got a great quarterback, I know that, but...
Gardner Minshew's okay.
But he's still got
a game manager, isn't
he? Adams over there.
Adams is still there, yeah. So,
but he's not happy there. But still, he's still got some quality there. And the running back as well for the Raiders.
Yeah.
What's his name?
I can't remember. No, I can't remember it either off the top of my head.
Oh, he's good as well. Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Got it.
Yeah, Jacobs.
We both got it at the same time. So there you go.
He's a top back. So
Jesse's right. He says Tomlin always finds a way to win. You're right. He's always had a winning season.
He's never had a losing season, so he's never going to be in the bottom four.
So where do the Commanders fit in here then? Where do we fit in here? I think we're picking 6th.
Really?
6th or 7th, yeah.
So that's like what? That's where we're going. 5-win season you're going with there?
6-ish. Maybe
6 would be higher than that, though. If you won 6 games, you'd be higher than where you're saying we're going to be picking.
Jesse's saying 12 to 15 is where he reckons we pick. That's probably more likely. If you're going 7 and 9, that's probably more likely.
I mean, obviously, I'm hoping for the best, which is 9 wins, which means that we'll be in the 20s. We'll be in the 20s, but like maybe 20, 19, 20, something like that. But we'll have to see. What do you think?
I don't know.
You're still saying 6?
I still think
with 6 wins.
No. I'm not going 6 wins. I think we finish in the top. I think we pick in the top 10, maybe 10th, but I don't know. 7 to 11. Yeah, that's about right, Scott. I'll be honest with you. 7 to 11 is about right. Where does 12 and 5 get us picking, says Mike.
Probably.
I absolutely love your optimism, mate.
That'd probably be top 25, wouldn't it?
It'd be, in the 20s, well in the 20s. Yeah, about
25 onwards. Yeah,
25, something like that. Yeah. That'd be a very good thing. But great question, Tim. I appreciate you popping that one through. Darren Hafferley, who is at Darren Hafferley on Twitter, he said, with the following draft picks for 2025, a first, a second, 2/3, a fourth, a sixth, another sixth, and 2 sevenths, which I think maybe 1 7th now because of the Cade York transaction.
Yeah, we've only got one left now. I mean, 1 7. I won't 7.
I think he has to make the active roster for week 1 for us to pay that.
But to be fair, is he not going to now? Unless he gets injured right now, he's going to be playing, isn't he? Because he had a good game in the preseason. So
he did. He looked, and the mechanics looked very good as well. He kicked
right through the middle. That's all you can ask from the guy. So
he says, "Do you think we use some of this capital in a trade this year, or do we stick and build again in 2025?"
Depends how patient the ownership want to be. That's the truth. If Harris is quite happy for a DQ, just take it, gradual steps. We'll just have what we got now and then become more competitive the year after. Then we'll probably keep the picks, and then we'll build more for next year. But it depends because obviously, as you know, we've all been starved of success. We're so desperate as fans to win now. And you've already mentioned many times we need patience, and sometimes we will have patience, and other times we won't. You'll see it in games, man. You'll see it. The ugly head will come out because we want to win so badly. Do you know what I mean? As fans, we want us to win so badly. So for me, it's a difficult one, man. But if you're playing the smart game, you should really keep them for next year. But I understand. If there's a player out there that they really like and they're happy to throw some picks at it, then I'm all for it. Maybe try and get the fans a little bit more excited about not just DQ's first season, but naturally, we've actually got a new stud. You know what I mean? Somewhere in any position, whatever you want to. pick it. You know what I mean? Just, so I would like them to do something like that, but I don't think they will.
I don't think they will either. I think they're sticking to 2025. I think that a lot of these picks, your sixths, your fourth can be packaged up again for a third or, and then maybe the 2/3 you could pick it all together to get back into the first round if you need more first round talent, depending on where we finish. It just depends. Do you know what I mean? It depends on what they're trying to do. Like you say, they all seem quite happy with what they've got at the moment on the roster. So we have to trust that is going to be there. Scott G's put a couple of questions into us, Scouse. He's in our chat with us, obviously. Shout out Scott G. He is at 20GDog on X or Twitter. Oh. He said, should Scouse forget about his jinx and get the Mike S0 uniform for week 2?
Oh, yeah. Me and him had this conversation on X. So we were talking about it, and he mentioned to me about, you're going to get your Sinistro jersey then or what? And I was like, well, last time I've had rookie, I said to him, I don't buy rookie jerseys anymore. I said, because every time I buy them, I end up ruining them, the jinx. So I end up jinxing them. Because my last two rookie actually we're both quarterbacks, and it was Dwayne and it was and Sam Howell as well, yeah. So they were the worst. That was just awful. Me, I'm blaming myself. If I'm a jinx, I blame myself for these guys not working out. So I don't want to do the same thing to Sinistro. You know what I mean? But I am tempted though, to be honest with you, Scott, because I do like Sinistro that much. So I am tempted, but I don't know yet. I'm on the fence at the moment, man.
Scott G's second question. He said, from a football perspective.
We blame you as well. Yeah, he should do. He should do.
Absolutely. From a football perspective, he said, what do you say to the fans that were overreacting to no waiver claims this week?
I mean, I always try to see it from both sides of the spectrum, really. Was I a bit upset? Yeah, I think a little bit, because you think, well, some of these teams are way better than us, and even their cast-off should be better than the players we've got. Mm-hmm. So when you don't get a guy, even one guy in on the waiver wire, you're thinking,
especially when you're picking two.
Yeah, exactly. You're thinking, I understand if other teams beat you out for players. I get that.
I looked at this, and on Tuesday on the Bleeding Burgundy podcast, shout out to the guys over at Bleeding Burgundy, Jesse, John, and Max. They said, obviously, we went through some names. I love a list. That's how it works. I love a list. And
you just made the list
down here. You just made the list, man. And there's players out there like, Jesse Davis from New Orleans, who used to play for Miami as well. He started 72 games at left guard, right guard, and left tackle. 27 games at left tackle. Surely that is a better option than Trent Scott. Do you know what I mean? I'm just thinking to myself, hang on a minute, what are we actually trying to do here? Another one, Jackson Carman, who's still a free agent from Cincinnati. Kyle's favourite player, I get that. And then we've got guys like Royce Newman, who did get picked up. I don't know where he went to, but he is a left guard. Has also played right guard. But again, 51 games, 24 starts, former second-round pick from Green Bay. You're playing at Green Bay on their offensive line last season. He played 14 games last year. Like, what?
I mean, these guys are better than the guys that we've seen to our practice squad. That we signed to our practice squad.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So why aren't we putting them claims in? I understand why fans were upset about it, but when I can do 10 minutes research and look at who's been cut somewhere, and then I see Adam Peters in a fucking press conference saying our pro football scouts have done all this work and come up with all these film tapes of all these players that we could have got on waivers. I scribbled it down on a piece of fucking A4 paper. Come on now. It's not that hard. Surely you can go out there and say, hang on a minute, these guys have been cut. Give them a ring. Maybe they didn't want to pick the phone up. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they're like, hell no, I'm not going to Washington. Do you know what I mean? Who knows? But it's just, it's frustrating, isn't it, when you look at it and say, it is such a high pick. But
and you know that we're not very good at the moment, so you're thinking that there's got to be better players out there than what we've got. That's what you think, even though there are other teams' cast-offs, because they are.
True. Deluxe.
You think.
But But if you're going to play devil's advocate, Deluxe is seemingly playing devil's advocate.
You don't make a move unless you move. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it. I mean. So was I little? I was a little bit. To be fair, was I upset? I'd say no. I'd say I was more surprised that we didn't actually get anybody in. Obviously, we made a move with Noah Brown after that, but but in general, I mean, am I upset? No, I'm not upset about it. But it does concern me a little bit that when they're talking about that, because they never actually made any waiver claims, they're thinking that every player on their team right now is better than the guys who are on the list. Yeah. And you mentioned three guys.
Scott G's got a point there. He said Jesse Davis would not be subject to waivers as a veteran, so cross him off your list. Yeah, 4 years. If you've got 4 years experience, you don't go through the waiver process. So yeah, I hold my hands up. Scott G with the receipts again. That's the second time in a few weeks you brought the receipts. So we're happy with that. But I understand it's frustrating to not sign players and think to yourself the day after, right? These guys are free agents. We'll wait. And Jesse said, yeah, maybe they were just bad. So they did get cut. Yeah, true. Maybe they were bad. Maybe the other teams had better inside. You don't know.
And I think that's what that's where the true scouting team comes in. It should be at that point where you're thinking, okay, then this guy from I've got a former second round tackle or guard has just been cut by these guys. Well, why is that? Is it because he was dog shit the year before, or is it because they've got really good depth? See what I mean? And they've got really good depth, and you let a good player go. Well, then they're the guys you should be going for. But obviously, we don't know because I've not really watched those guys you mentioned. I didn't watch them last year, top of my head, so I don't know from that angle. You know what I mean? So, it's just one of them. It's one of them. But you like to think these know what they're doing, And but to say that all the players on their 53 are better than every single player that was on that waiver wire, I think that's a little bit suspect.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're just happy with what they've got in the building. I understand that. Rob Morrison's got a question for us. He said, happy with Noah Brown addition. We just need another cornerback and OT. Is there anyone left? We just mentioned a couple of people there.
So that's the usual guys that we always talk about them. Probably not. I mean, I'm not going to mention his name. Again. Yeah, I'm not going to mention his name because yes, he'll start crying. So, yeah. So it's. But again, is he available? He's saying he's going to be available. He's going to start the season. He's going to be ready. So, I think he'll be signed up by Sunday by week 4. I think somebody will take him. Someone will go down injured, and he'll be starting somewhere by that time. So, again, but anybody else out there really? Not really, no. I mean, I wouldn't say there's any really good corners left.
No,
there's one corner I really wanted, and Carolina took him. So that was the annoying thing about the waivers. No, I can't. Anyone top of my head, I can't think. Like there's somebody there that as a corner that I really would like that's available.
So our next question is from the Podfather, Kyle Roenick of the Burgundy Zone. If you haven't already, go and subscribe and watch the Burgundy Zone. Great show. Always like these guys. Shout out to Kyle. He says, does Andy fantasize about Brandon Ayuk too much? And the answer is, yes, he does. He has the onesie pajamas of Brandon Ayuk. I am certain that you go to sleep.
I've got the pajamas.
I am certain you go to sleep.
I've got the pajamas. You got the undies of Noah Brown, then have you?
No, you have the little hot chockey. You're like, I'll have a little hot chockey, and I'll get myself all tucked in with me Superman.
All chockey all down your leg.
You do fantasize about Brandon Ayuk too much, though. Man.
No, I don't
really
fantasize about the dude.
Not in that respect, but as in him playing in the burgundy and gold. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I think he's a difference maker, so that's why I want. I want difference makers in my team. End the story, end the discussion. Really, I want difference makers, and people say, "Oh, he's." The reason why Kyle mentioned that we had quite a long conversation between me, him, and Tim Towner on their Discord last night about Brandon. And I was always obviously the main guy, kind of like, just go and get Brandon, like, well, I don't think he's at the 30 mil and all this, all the usual kind of comebacks that you get from when you mention him. But I just say we've got the money. he probably wants to play here, being honest, with his best mate being here. So I think we can get a deal done. I think compensation, we could do it as well. I don't think Peters is going to be too stupid with it. I think that's a very plausible guy you could get. And especially in a room that is basically much of a C level kind of wide receiver room. He's a massive upgrade on everybody in there besides Terry, but I don't think he's better than Terry.
I agree with you. He's a top 10 wide receiver in this league.
That's what I mean. Like, I mean, obviously, if you go off fantasy stats, no, he's not. He's probably about 20th. But the thing is, right, he does more with less. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. Like last season, I think he had 75 receptions, 1,300 yards, 7 touchdowns, average of 18 yards per reception. I mean, that's not bad. The guys who are above him in those kind of stats were guys who were hitting the 100+ receptions. The only one he wasn't was Justin Jefferson. He was the only one who did it more with 69 receptions. Everybody else was in the 100 receptions to get anywhere near his yardage or his TD levels. So, it's all well and good saying, oh, he's a product of the system because they're not really double teaming him and blah, blah, blah. And, because you've got McCaffrey and you've got the other guy. Yeah, I get it. But the thing is, it's one of them, man. Like, it's one of them. Would I like him? Hell yeah. Would I give up quite a bit? Yes. Would I pay him the money that he wants? Yeah, I'll try and see if we can negotiate a little bit. I mean, the thing is, right, I mean, if you're looking at it right now, do you know who the 4th most expensive wide receiver his contract is at the moment per year average?
DJ Moore, maybe?
Well done. Perfect. DJ Moore. Actually, was. I thought you wouldn't get that.
Yeah, I was trying to think of it, yeah.
DJ Moore
just signed a new deal with the Bears in the summer.
DJ Moore is not. It's not. Brandon Ayuk twice the receiver DJ Moore is, and Moore's decent, but he's not amazing. Yeah?
He absolutely killed us last year. Though.
Yeah, but that's not hard to beat same burnt toast ghost. You know what I mean? So, so I'm not. That doesn't. You can't. If you take that game out of it, it still doesn't matter. You know what I mean? For me, he's just a guy that you could get, and I think. The chemistry's already there. You haven't got to work on that chemistry. It's already there with them. Do you know what I mean? Like he's already made plug and play right now. He can come in and produce.
I think you're right.
I get it. I do get it. Other players don't want him. It's too expensive and whatever. Yeah, but
Kyle has a fandom for Derek Forrest and for Jackson Carman and for his boy Cole Turner as well. Pretty similar to my fandom for F.A. Obada. So I get it. We like certain players, and that's how it goes. And Scouse is Brandon Ayuk, and that's totally fine. You know what I mean? You could like.
I just think there's always a slight chance of it as well. Do you know what I mean? Like there is a chance of it. I know Scott G mentioned there what Schefter said, but not in any discussions. Trust me, Ayuk is going. He'll go on the trade deadline. That's when he'll leave. Because no one will pay for him now. No one will pay his contract. No one's going to offer him the first rounder or the Terry, like someone's mentioned before. Terry McLaurin was going to have to be part of the deal or whatever. Or first rounder has to be. But what's going to happen now is that the longer this plays out, the longer Ayuk doesn't train or doesn't participate enough on-field duties, he will not play in the games, and then he'll be traded at the trade deadline. I'm going to get him for half the price of what you can get him now for. So he will be somewhere. He might not be guaranteed us, but he'll be somewhere.
Scott G's just said there the Browns offered him a huge deal, but he won't sign there. I mean, would you want to play for bloody?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, there's been 4 or 5 teams that really wanted him, and he's declined half of them. No, he's declined the Pats. He declined Steelers. He's obviously declined the Browns as well. So there's only a few teams he wants to play for, and we're one of them because his mates here. So, his best friends here. So if that's the case, he is holding out for us, which means we could probably get him for a slightly lower contract than he probably would get somewhere else. Maybe we could do that with good negotiating. Maybe. So, it's all ifs and buts, and he probably won't show up here, but I think there's still a reasonable chance. I do think there's still a chance that might be a 5% chance, but I think there's something.
Steve Lim's our next question. I know, I saw that. Yeah, I expect this nonsense out of Scott G, but not coming from you. It's extremely disappointing.
Hey, what do you mean, man? You know how I roll, man. You know how I roll. How can I be?
Canada Mike says he'll sign for us after Labor Day weekend. Well, we can all hope. Let's all hope that.
When's that? I don't know that. I don't know the Labor Day weekend. What date's that?
It's pretty soon, actually. I think it's pretty soon. Yeah, I think it's next weekend. I think they're about.
Oh no, it won't be that quick. I don't think.
Steve Lim. Steve is at Steve Lim.
Oh, this weekend, Scott G. Yeah. No.
Is it this weekend? Is it? Oh, there you go then. No. He said he is also on the At Command This podcast with Dev and Phil. Go and give them a listen. Go and give them a subscription. Love Steve Lim. Does the greatest hot dogs ever at the tailgate. So top banana he is.
Really good dude. Same with Phil as well.
And Phil's a top man as well, yeah. And so Dev's cool as well, man. They're all,
I've never met
good
Dev,
guys
so
over there.
I mean, I've never met him.
They're all good guys over there. Yeah. He said, "What are the plans for our guy Obada?"
Well, first of all, let's get him fit.
He's got to get fit. Yeah,
he's got to get fit. I mean, he might not even be ready until November, December. As in match fit, as in like be able to actually perform. I know he said he wants to get back, didn't he, for this year? Didn't he? He said he wants to be back, but he's not even near ready yet. I mean, he had a horrible break. When was it? November last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a double leg break like that, pins and plates, it probably is a year for an NFL player. Probably is a year. Really so you probably see him back. Probably seeing that November time.
Just give me 2 seconds while I text his mum. Just 2 seconds.
Do you know what?
She's just text back saying, "F off. Where's the restraining order?" Oh yeah, I forgot. Sorry. Standard. Yeah. No, standard. No, but in all seriousness, Steve, I don't know is the answer to the question.
I think he's got to get him fit, man.
Well, he said he's training well. He's trying to get fit, and we just wish him the best, whatever way.
He's not been in any team drills or nothing, so he's not nowhere close to being ready yet.
He's nowhere near close. No, he's not close yet.
So that's the thing. I say hopefully
week 6, week 7, maybe.
I'm thinking November. I'm thinking November, to be honest. Yeah. So week 8, 10, something like that.
Maybe the back end of the season. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, with injuries, that's when you probably step in. Probably activating from IR probably at that point. Or the pup list, should I say the pup list? Exactly.
He is stashed at the minute, so we'll leave him.
Yeah, well, exactly what you'll see him back when you need him. There'll be a few injuries probably at the end at some point, and you'll come back at that point. But I think realistically, by his injury list, probably November.
So I've got a serious question here from Canada Mike. It says, "Is it time we accept that Dyami Brown is the new Jerry Rice?" No, Dyami is not Jerry Rice. That is.
I don't even know what to do.
He couldn't even lace up his boots. That's about it. But oh my god.
Yeah, man. I mean, wow.
No, Canada Mike.
Very simple. No,
it's not. And he said, "Is the new naming of the stadium Northwest a lucky sign as we're currently undefeated since its induction?" We're also undefeated at Commanders Field, so
Yeah, yeah, Jerry Rice.
Yeah, you mean Jerry Rice now? Yeah, maybe that's what he meant. Yeah, maybe that's what he meant.
Scott G, the wildfire smoke has officially impacted Canada Mike's brain. Yeah,
that's what you get from Buffalo, mate. That's what you get from Buffalo.
That's the first time I've 100% agreed with Scott G for a while. So, yeah. Yeah, man, that's great. That's crazy.
I love his positivity. Just keep going and F the Bills Mafia. That's what I want to say, yeah. The 54th who reached out to us, shout out to the 54th. Their mission is to be the 54th man. As fans, that's what we should be. We should be on there, on the 54th. Go follow them. They are at the 54th on X, on Twitter. He said, now that the 53 is initially complete and practice squad is being filled, how would you describe what it takes to be a commander? Can you see an identity for this team being formed? I mean, what do you think it takes to be a commander? For me, I'm going to say it's playing hard, it's playing fast, it's downfield running, it's aggression. Is there an identity coming into this team? Yeah, I think there is an identity coming into this team. It's the things around you. There's none of these little stupid. There is monologues around, but there isn't things like all we need is in this room, like Ron Rivera used to put up. It's about doing hard shit with good people. That's what Dan Quinn wants to do. Wearing a backwards hat, you know what I mean? Thinking, well, okay, you seem pretty cool. I think there's a cohesion here. I think the unit is coming together.
It's funny that a guy in his 50s still wears a hat backwards. Like, I think.
I know what you mean.
I think he's down with the kids.
Keep it rocking, Scouts. Let's keep it rocking.
I do. I think I agree with you. I think the identity that they're trying to make is that they work extremely hard and they're extremely physical. And that's the way they're going to play it. And that's every player. I think that's the main reason why Yankov got on the team ahead of Turner. I really do. He when you've seen him play, and the little shorts that you see and stuff like that, he plays hard, man. He plays hard and fast every single snap. Now, skill-wise, he's got things to work on, sure, but that is the bare minimum that they're after. And he produced that all the time, every single day, every single snap. And that's why they love him.
Well, look at the last person out of practice in the first practice after the 53 was made. Who is the last person to leave the field doing drills after it? It's Colson Yankov. Yes, he's at the bottom of the roster, but he's out there putting in work. He's out there with a couple of positional coaches. You can see him running drills, trying to get better every day, trying to get better, and that's what you want to see. It's a slow progression into building a cohesive unit. Like the best thing was Anthony Armstrong on the Burgundy Zone this week. He said, "When you come and play the Burgundy and Gold, you leave black and blue." What a quote that is! That's what Dan Quinn wants to see. That is what he wants to see. And I think
no easy games anymore. No easy games.
Yeah, and what I want to see going forward is, as long as we're competitive, said this many a time on this show and other shows, as long as we're competitive in a team, you can kind of almost accept, it's shit, but you can accept getting beat by a team that is truly better than you in positions. But as long as you're putting in the effort in and they're giving everything for that shirt, which is what seems to be the pulse, that's what's coming out of training camp, that's what the reporters are saying, that they're buying into this mindset of we give everything on the field, then we as fans can't argue with that. There might be shitter players against other teams, but you can't argue with them putting in 100%, because you can't give 110%,
True. Believe it or not. Yeah. I agree with that, I say we know that from other sports and like all other American sports as well. You got to be showing that you give a shit about the team you're playing for. You're not just a true merc. Like most of these guys are mercs. Let's face it, they are mercenaries. But when they're on that field, they better give you every ounce of blood, sweat, tears that they've got. You know what I mean? And if you don't get that, then that's when fans get really pissed off.
Exactly. And I think to build off that point that you just made there, Scouts, I also think in this off-season we've done a couple of good things here. Clearly the wind of change has run through the organisation and we've got new ownership, we've got a new ownership group, we've got new front office, new staff, new players, everything. But look at the teams and look at the things that they've done to try and still bridge that gap between the past and the present. The Darryl Green, the bringing in, bringing in other older players that are in there, retiring his jersey, Coach Gibbs coming in to training camp. Do you know what I mean? Them sort of things.
The Sean Taylor thing as well.
The Sean Taylor thing. There you go. Do you see what I'm saying? Looking at this, there is always that nod back to the past to say, hey, we haven't forgotten about you, but also we know what it takes to win and we know what it looks like there. Every day you should be walking past them Super Bowl trophies, looking at them and thinking to yourself, fuck me, I am in a lucky position here. Every day I get to go out here and do this for a living. Because I tell you what, there is thousands of kids on every continent that would love to be in their position, that's for sure. Oh, Christ, strap me up now and I'll try and play for you. And I can't do a job for you, but I'd try. Fucking hell. You know what I mean? I would try my hardest. And that's what people do, man.
It could be a long snapper.
It could be, yeah. A kicker, a punter, mate. I can't take Tress's job. That's just ridiculous. But I'll be the guy. I'll be the water boy. That's fine by me. You know what I mean? I don't mind.
It's well paid at the Commanders. That water boy
will be. There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is something forming, but we have to wait and see what it will be. And you can wear your hat backwards, Deluxe. You're absolutely cool with that.
No, he's wrong. No.
When you
can't after 50 million. To be fair, I always thought you were older than 50 anyway, Deluxe. You know what I mean?
Oh, harsh. That is awful.
So man, that is very unfortunate.
You're getting a slap in the red zone in 2 weeks' time. That's for sure. Yeah, no.
I don't even know what he looks like. You probably slap me. You won't even see him.
Exactly. Who's this? Yeah, no, it's fine. Next one. Next question. Paul Fiander Turner. He is at having a Radox on X. He said, Ron went for drafting supposed good, humble personalities rather than flashy players, seeing as he's now proven to be completely melt at player evaluations. What do you think the ideal player personality now being drafted from our scouting team? It's kind of similar.
I still think there's an element of, they've got to be humble.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's no big attitudes, no big egos. I think that's one of the things that is still corresponded from Ron's tenure to now. I still think that's part of it. But it isn't about being ex-military or military, like family members or this or that. It isn't about that. It's about how they are, how the person is. And it is important to have the right attitudes in the locker room as well. And you're just hoping that you got these guys all buying into the one thing. And that's the other thing. Do these guys buy into schemes, to coaches? That's another thing as well. Or do they not? Do they go rogue? If they go rogue, then they'll waste the time no matter how good they are. Chase Young was like that. You know what I mean? He did his own thing when he wants to. And it's like, no, that doesn't help anyone. That actually fucking blows plays up in a bad way for us. Because it's trying to get the extra sack or be the Superman. No. Do your job, what you're asked to do on that play every single time. You got to be, yeah, of course, you got to have the talent. You got to have skill. Of course you do. But, and hard work ethic. Most of these guys do. Some guys are purely natural skill guys that are ridiculous. Like, they're naturally gifted. But most of the guys are hard workers, they're always fighting for every single thing they ever had. And those are the guys you want on your team. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I was the quarterback and, I don't want my head knocked off any more than anybody else does. So, I want guys who are willing to fight and every single bit of fibre of their being to try and protect you from getting your head knocked off. They're the guys you want in your team. You know what I mean? Even if they might not be a flashier player or, a bigger player or whatever. Solid units, man. That's what it's about. Cohesion, being one, even though you are a team of or play if you're talking about the online, 5 players, but you got to play as one. You know what I mean? And that is what for me is more important than the flashy player.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you completely. Another question then is from Brian, who's in our chat. He said, question, who on the roster now is most likely to earn a multi-year contract next year? Top 2 or 3 or just 1? I think it's Sam Cosmi for me. I think he's the one who's going to get a multi-year deal that's going to be quite high. I think he's going to have a Pro Bowl career. He's probably going to be an all-pro this year, in my opinion. I think he's one of the best right guards in the entire league, and he could potentially be the best right guard in the entire league. I think that move to right guard from right tackle was one of the best things this coaching staff from previous coaching staff did. So for me, it's Sam Cosmi will get a massive deal. Terry, if he gets another 1,000-yard season or 1,200 yards, probably he's still got
a contract though. He's still got a contract. So.
Yeah, but he needs to get his money changed, doesn't he, on his contract? He's got no guaranteed money.
Well, after this year, I mean, I know there's an out after 25. I know that 2025. Mm-hmm. I know there's an out for us if we wanted to go for not much of a cap hit. For me, 2 guys potentially. Chin
great
for me. If he really balls out, he'd be worth quite a lot of money for a multi-year deal. The other one's probably Wagner, but again, with Wags, it's the case of it might not be a ridiculous amount of money because obviously he's getting older. Do you know what I mean? It might be around what he's at now, though, the $8 million mark, which isn't a killer. Do you know what I mean? But he might be a multi-year deal, like 2-year deal coming up after this one if he's still producing, if he still plays well this year.
Do you know? I think the other one could be Zach Ertz.
Zach Ertz. I'm hoping
if he stays healthy.
I'm hoping Ben Sinnott will take over that role after the next year. Like he's going to play a lot anyway. But I mean, Ertz to mentor him this year, and then he's going to be the number one the year after. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm hoping for. So I probably wouldn't look at Ertz for a long-term deal.
Depends what he does, numbers-wise.
He's injury prone as well. That's the other thing. Yeah, Deluxe. Hang on, Jeremy Chin. Yeah, so
yeah,
yeah. And Deluxe mentions there, but Owens has a chance. I think Owens has got a great chance. Yeah. I like Owens. From is he playing? Is he in part of our safeties or is he part of our linebackers?
He's down as a safety for us, and he is a safety. But he's
definitely see him playing. I mean, strong
safety.
Yeah,
is what he's down as. But, special teams be big for him as well this season.
Oh, interesting.
De'Ami Brown.
Will he in a contract? Well, to be fair,
I don't think he'll be here in 2 weeks when we've got Brandon Ayuk.
Back to wide receiver.
Brown. No. As in, like, he's part of the package. We'll trade we'll trade you 2 third-round picks and a 6th, and we'll also give you De'Ami Brown. How about
that? Yeah. I mean, potentially.
Not Derek Forrest. Yeah. Wow.
Trade him as well.
Derek Forrest.
Trade him as part of the Ayuk deal. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, from what De'Ami's done in this offseason, you can see the improvements in his hands.
Yeah, you can.
He might get himself a new deal. Just depend. Again, it's all about this season for him. He's got to really step up and be the real deal. But yeah, it will be interesting to see what they're going to do. But at this moment, he's an if. He's a potential new long-term deal. But he's really got to show it this year to get that. Anything less than a good season, 800 yards, something like that. If you're going to play him as a wide receiver too, 800 yards, something like that, 4 or 5 TDs, something like that. You've got to be getting something around that. And if he does, you'll get a great contract. If not, then he won't. I think it's as simple as that.
Another question here from Hot Take Freddie. Shout out to Freddie. He said, is it worth the aggravation to find yourself a job when there's nothing worth working for? It's an Oasis pun, obviously. And Mike Allen's also said here, will either of you wear your Commanders Super Bowl winners T-shirts to the Oasis concerts next summer? Fucking hell.
Imagine.
Mike, can you imagine? That would be amazing, wouldn't it? I was actually listening to some Oasis on the way home from work. Are we going to try and get tickets? Yes, we are going to try and get tickets. Will we get tickets? No, it's not going to happen, mate. They are
going to be like Goldust or like 300 quid a go. They're going to be
I think they were the original actual prices for the tickets for Manchester weren't that expensive. They're like a 75 quid or something for standing. And then it was and then London,
it's a Heaton Park, is it? That they're doing
Heaton Park, yeah. And then London was like 150 quid at Wembley or something. Yeah. And I thought, well, that's not that bad, actually, to be fair. But
again, stand in the back or crushed at the front.
Are you ever going to get a ticket? The answer is probably not. Man, I couldn't even get a Jags ticket. I queued up and did this stupid
I said
I know you did. And don't worry. But what I'm doing is I'm giving the example. I got on and it was like, oh yeah, you can sign up to this. We'll release it 24 hours before. And I was like, okay, I'll get on Ticketmaster because my wife is a Jags fan and wants a ticket. So I was like, okay, I'll get on. There were 208,000 people in front of me in the queue. What's it going to be like for Oasis tickets? You've got zero chance. The actual probable place we'll get a ticket is if we fly to Boston and go watch them out in the States, to be fair. But, nah, man, we're not going to get tickets.
Exactly. It'll still be full over there. Let's face it, most Yanks don't like it.
Oh, of course it will. Of course it will.
A few do, but don't sell out over in the States.
I think you might be wrong there, but there you go.
This is exactly what me and Mike are in sync with.
Yeah, you are in sync with this, yeah.
Exactly. I said this in our group chat, didn't I? Literally earlier today. You can't get the first few shows, forget it. There's no way. nor are we putting up Liam after that because, yeah, they don't get on, man. They just don't get on. That's the reason why they've not been Oasis since 2009.
Yeah.
So, it's you just obviously don't get on. You know what I mean? It happens with brothers sometimes. So I reckon the first few shows, 5-6 shows, and then it'll start going Pete Tong.
Definitely. Our final question, the honor of the final question of the day, is our draft buddy, Yam Sensei, Yam Starch on X. He says, what are your expectations in general for our offense and defense on the season with the roster as it is now? Do you think we finally break the top 20 in each, or will we still be mid and around under 25? Tough question.
I think we make the 20s. 20, 19.
In defense, I think we make the top 15. I think we're actually going to have a decent defense.
But our corners and our rushes,
no. But I think the front end will be okay. I think the middle will be where we'll make our mark.
Well, we're going to have to be, and we're going to have to be fast, as in make sure the QB hasn't got time to let those receivers get downfield. I mean, of course, from linebacker play, I think most teams against the run are going to struggle against us. But I do think if we can't get there from a pass rush side of things, either from the edges or up the middle, we can't get there, then we're going to get burnt toast over our corners. I really do. So,
what do you think about the offense then?
I think offensively, I mean, obviously you can tell we've got a much better quarterback than we've had in a long time. Even just by seeing small sample sizes from Jaden, he doesn't throw picks. The 2 picks he had against the Dolphins in the training sessions were 2 4-overs.
Yeah, you're right. One came bounced out of Cole Turner's hands.
Yeah, and he got hit and bounced up in the air, and the guy caught it.
And the other one fell off.
Terry fell over. Terry fell over, lost his foot, and he got picked off. Now again, they're not on Jaden at all. The guy doesn't throw picks. I think he's through 5 in 3 years. You know what I mean? At college, he doesn't throw interceptions. Now, obviously, our offensive line will increase that number. Because it isn't great. It isn't a great offensive line. I know. There's some metrics out there. Jesse showed it on our group chat that we're probably 5th or 6th in actual O-line pass.
Offensive line, yeah.
Offensive line pass protection. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be that high up, but even if we're just mid, that'll give Jaden enough time because he reads defenses that well that he shouldn't be giving the ball away that often. So I do think with a solid running game as well, and we have got 3 very good backs. So I think we'll be in the top 20 of offense.
Good.
But as long as obviously Jaden doesn't get hurt, or we get ridiculous.
Plus, we're not discounting his legs as well and extending plays. Do you know what I mean? There's always that.
Yeah, I just don't want him doing it. I'd rather him be a bit more like Lamar last year, where he wasn't running until he had to, really had to. Now he saved himself, didn't he, for most of the season? Until the playoffs, before he really put himself on the line to get smoked. And that's what I want our guy to be doing. I don't want to be the first thing to do is I'm going to run because there's a big, massive gap there. I'd rather him throw the ball for 5 yards rather than trying to run 10 and get hurt. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be sensible with it as well because that's the biggest knock on Jaden is his size. If Micah Parsons hits you a full speed, mate, you know what I mean? It's
or Garrett will.
It's going to be a wake up call. You know what I mean? So that's the only thing.
Garrett. Even.
Only thing I've got concerns about with Jaden is just that. That's the only thing is the size, and can he withhold being absolutely blasted by some of these guys in the NFL? And I'm just hoping that he's smart enough and our offensive line's good enough that he doesn't get hit that often. But
in a week's time, we'll find out, won't we? Pretty much, or 10 days or whatever it is, we'll find out.
Tampa's defense isn't bad. Tampa's defense not a bad defense.
It's not bad.
So we'll see.
Right, well, shout out to everybody who's been in the chat. Mike, Deluxe, Brian, Scott G, Jesse, PRM. We appreciate you being on with us. We appreciate you keeping the chat going. Always good to be on. Everyone who has submitted a question, Tim Towner, Darren Hathley, Rod Morrison, the Podfather Kyle Roenick at the Burgundy Zone, Steve Lim over at Command This Podcast, Canada Mike, 54th, Paul Fiander Turner, Hot Take Freddy and Yam all putting questions in. Thank you so much. Do not forget to like, subscribe and comment on this podcast. We appreciate you obviously listening to us ramble on for an hour and a half. Anything left from you, Scouse, before we get on to next week's preview of Tampa?
Just the last deluxe one here says, because you mentioned winding them up before about he could attack.
It's not cool.
Well, he actually can, because we've never seen it. We don't know his face. So it's like the man in the shadows. So you might see it, not cool, sneak attack incoming, and I have the element of surprise. Yeah, you do, deluxe. You really do, man. So yeah, man, it's yeah. I'll put my hands up all day. But yeah, man. Go on. So what are we doing after the preview of the game?
We'll do the preview pod next week. Yeah, next Thursday we'll do the Tampa Bay preview pod, and then a week after that, obviously we are flying on the Thursday, so I'm not sure what we'll do. Whether we'll do a Wednesday preview pod, or whether we'll get on at some point.
We'll just try and do something on our phones as we're traveling or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? We'll sit in the airport in Dublin and we'll do it then. Who knows? We'll do something.
Yeah.
But,
crazy hours for you though. But yeah, we'll try and get something.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, everybody, that about does us. Thanks so much for being with me, Scouse. As always, I appreciate you. Thanks, everybody in the chat. And don't forget, again, like, subscribe, and comment on our YouTube video. We would much appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.